All right, welcome to Cloud.Nine once again on ACTN The Voice, one of my all-time favorites there from Positive, one of course his earlier songs. And the funny thing about that song is that when it came out, it was very popular on what we know as the urban station, 96.1 Red and so forth. I'm not sure if at that time 98.9 was around. Certainly they were disbanded by that time. Yeah. And not much people knew that he was a Christian. Yeah, but the song today, one of those timeless songs from the artist, Longer Dreads now. And of course, it just speaks about just staying high on life. On life, not the things of the life. So we're talking about that high. We're talking about that high. We're talking about high on life. And there's only one person could speak life into you, and that's God. So we ain't talking about don't get it twisted. So stay high on God, stay high on life, and may his life as light stay within you. So it's going to be a very interesting show today. As you know, many people have been looking at the developments surrounding the hiker that unfortunately we all know by now that he died on the course, and many individuals have been expressing or asking questions rather surrounding the group and what exactly happened. Some have been passing blame on the group, but even today the brother of the deceased says they're not blaming the group. And this morning, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to give it to you as we have it here, I had the opportunity to speak once again with the organizer of the group, Mr. Mario Russell of Island Hikers. And now, of course, this show repeats, as we know. But up to 11 o'clock this morning, they were still not able to retrieve the body, right? Up to 11 a.m. this morning. Now, I saw a video clip from Akash short while ago, and they had to abandon the search efforts because of the mere fact of the cops getting dark, the thickness of the forested area. The helicopter was unable to land, so they are continuing again this morning. I am very optimistic that by this evening they would be able to retrieve the body. But as of 11 a.m., that was not the case. However, Mr. Russell went into some detail with me when we spoke on the phone just after 11, when he gave me that information about exactly what happened based on his account with Mr. Baird while they were on this hike at the Hollis Waterfalls, I believe it is. I will give you that information later on as well. We'll be speaking to another hiker from another group called 5 Star, where he's basically going to give us some hiking tips, hiking 101. And this is just general information because I do not want to mix the two interviews in terms of under the same context. One, we're dealing with, that's Mr. Ross, in terms of what happened on this particular day, as well as the status, of course, of retrieving the body. The other interview would be a separate individual from a different group who will be speaking about hiking tips. And I think it's important. I've been to a few hikes already, and I'm telling you, you really, really have to have your game face on, and you have to have your gears on, and you have to have your mind on. Because, again, some of these trails are very, very tricky. And so it's important if you are a novice, or even if you are experienced, as we would have seen in the case of Mr. Baird, you need to take certain precautions at all times. All right? So at this time, I want to go to the Wise Up segment and touch on a story that I saw today in the newspaper, but more so a picture that I saw that popped up on my phone. And I just want to just give a piece of advice. Let's go to a wiser segment at this time. So got up this morning, stretch, yawn, say my prayers, thank the Lord for a good day ahead. And after I did all of that, looking to check what's in the news, and saw this very large picture of the baby that was found in the Betham landfill. And the person had put the caption, no, you realize I'm not showing it, right? Good. And I will not show it. And the person is asking for anyone who may know about the parents of the child. And I hear that, I hear that. And I was speaking to, the crew this morning. And I'm not against anyone, and we've had this discussion before. I'm not against anyone who, is highlighting these things just to raise awareness. But I want us to please, and that's why we kept it very simple. Wiser, please. We have to understand the season that we're in, one, and understand, two, the atmosphere that Facebook is creating right now. Very rare, and because of the mindset of people, very rare, people are using Facebook right now for, positive outreach. And also, we have to be sensitive when we're putting up these pictures, whether it be of a baby, or whether it be of a murder, whether it be of anything that may be considered negative. Be very careful that we're not just speaking to one individual, we're speaking to a myriad of people, a myriad of backgrounds. And you have mothers looking at Facebook, you have children looking at Facebook, you have different areas of life when people are looking at Facebook. And we need to be very mindful and sensitive to it. These are things that I learned very early on from Mrs. Suniti Maharaj. I remember she had a course once, I'll not forget this, where, and some media houses, they think it's okay. But it's something that I had to check myself with as well, even as the head of news back then, that when you're highlighting stories that say of protest action, she indicated to us that you do not show the faces of the children, particularly when they're in their school uniform. It is unethical. So what you're supposed to do, you can have the shot, but you blow out the face of the child, or you position your camera in such a way that the child is not exposed, because what you're doing now, you're exposing that child to some level of victimization depending on what the protest action is about. So what we're doing here when we're posting pictures, whether it be of this child, or whether it be, as we discussed, of someone's body exposed in a casket, which is supposed to be an intimate ceremony amongst loved ones when they will have lost someone. You don't go plastering these things on Facebook. At the end of the day, Facebook is a stage where the devil dances on. You understand? And he tries to trip people up on it, trip them up with their emotions. So the more we filter Facebook with more positive things, and therefore we'll use wisdom in terms of how we deal with issues like this with the baby. Understand? So I'm just calling on people just to remember, when you're posting things on Facebook, you're not posting it just for you and how you feel at the moment and how emotionally driven you are at the moment, because you're not considering the other person on the other end looking at it. Maybe sending them down a road that they have walked away a long time now. Yes, you're not supposed to please everyone, but think before you act. It's real simple. And these are basic, as I said, basic principles, whether it be for social media or media in a whole. But unfortunately, there are no lines. In some cases, there are very blurred lines when it comes to mainstream media and social media, because even mainstream media personalities are involved in the social media drama. And because of their actions, they have allowed the lines to get blurred. And now everybody knows a journalist. Everybody knows a presenter. Everybody knows a producer, because of the no barriers that social media has. So if we don't create those barriers, and if we as the professionals don't speak out, then you're just as guilty as, everyone on social media who feel they could say and do as they very well please. Stop it. It reservoir. Let's take a break.
The devil's the accuser of the brethren. And he hates marriage because marriage is the image of God. He hates marriage is because it's the most sacred institution on earth. God created marriage in Genesis chapter 1. It is the first institution he ever created, and it's the foundation for every other institution on earth. And he's a strategist. He understands if he can destroy marriage, he can destroy all of society.
I found out that if our phones are close enough and if we have a connection on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, come on, I'm about to preach this technology until somebody comes out of hiding. If I got something on my device and you need it on your device, if I can get close enough to your device with my device, what's on my device can jump on your device. If I get close to the one who created me, close to the one who called me, if I stop running and return to the place of my assignment, I got the drop.
So if you want to live behind walls all your life and live an isolated, lonely, miserable life, go ahead. But I suggest that you tear down all your walls and let God be a wall of protection about you. And he says all of your walls will be called peace.
All right, welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACTN, the only show to make you smile, and I say it without apology, even amidst the darkness happening in our country today. Now, let us go now to our next segment where we're going to try and squeeze in as much as possible in relation to Mr. Baird's death. That's the hiker who they found. The body was found, but still trying to retrieve his body. So let's go and let's see if we can make contact with Mr. Russell once again to get an update on the search. Let's go. All right, welcome back. Let me read for you quickly some information here that was sent by Mr. Russell to me this morning after we spoke. And this is in connection with the hike that took place. And it was fitness walkers. Now it's under one umbrella, but there are two levels. So you have fitness walkers and another group. So if you are, how could I say, an experienced hiker, then you will fall within the bracket of fitness walkers. And he sent me a very short video of when they actually completed the hike, and the incident with Mr. Baird happened actually on the way back. All right, so I'll give you some information in just a short while, but I believe we have Mr. Russell on the line. Let's try and see. Mr. Russell, a pleasant good afternoon to you, sir.
Hi, Sheldon.
Hi, thank you for joining me again. I do appreciate it. I know this is not the best time for the group, and I want to offer our condolences once again to the organizers. Okay. First and foremost to you, Mr. Russell, I know we spoke this morning around 11 a.m. and you told me that they were not able to retrieve his body as yet. Any update in terms of the search?
Right now, they're cutting down areas of the forest so that the helicopter can safely uplift the body. They want it to lift the body and then it gets stuck in a tree. Right. So things are always being done, but people may not always understand the logistics in getting something done. But things are being done.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for that.
Hikers are up there supporting the crew that
Right.
is doing that. And thanks to the villagers too, who came in and assist, and condolences, of course, to the family.
You know, Mr. Russell, I know I am not going to sit here and, you know, I look at people have been casting blame, asking questions, and, you know, it's been a very emotional response, and it's obviously so. But I want us to now we spoke briefly on the phone, but as I have you on the line, and for those listening, let's go through once again, step by step, what happened on this fateful day with this hike with Mr. Baird, a very experienced hiker, but clearly something went wrong. Can you walk us through, please? I should say walk our viewers through exactly what happened.
Okay, first of all, it's a 10-hour hike. Hiking for 10 hours in forest, you're stepping into unknown areas to start with. I mean, the trail is marked so you can see where to walk and you wouldn't get lost. And as an experienced hiker, but it's going to test your everything, your mental determination and whatnot. So first of all, when this hike was advertised, it was advertised for people who are capable of doing it, who wanted to go to a challenge, right? So he completed, I would say, 9 hours of the challenge, and on his final hour, he slipped where there was a tree fell, and there was a sort of a precipice, and he trying to cross there, he slipped. Now, people could not see him. There were people in front of him. He was out of the group, the last group, it was 60 people on the hike. Out of the...
And how many groups were there? How many groups?
There were several groups leaving, but we were the last group because we were the slowest group.
Okay.
And out of the 9 returning, 2 hike leaders in the front, 2 hike leaders in the back, and we have 5 people. Actually, 1 out of the 5 had his own hiking club, but he was experiencing problems. So these were the problem people in the back coming up, including all of us, really dehydrated, tired, fatigued.
And this would have been on the way back, right? On the way back to complete the hike.
Just about 45 minutes before we reached back.
Right, almost there.
Hiking 9 hours already. I mean, if you try walking 30 minutes in the sun, you just feel the pressure. Once that you're doing 9 hours already. So it's like running a marathon and you're on your last coming in. And, you know, you're in a different mental state. Everybody's in a different mental state. But everybody know that there's challenges and anything can happen. You can slip, you know. I mean, he was cautioned, he was sprayed. He reluctantly didn't even want to be sprayed because that's the nature of a true adventurer. When you say, listen, you're cramping, do you want something? He would say no, you know, and you have to force him.
And you said about 4 times you had to spray his face. 4
times I responded with different things with him, you know, because, you know, when a hiker experiencing a little pressure, you know, you're there to think. But I myself experiencing pressure. It's the nature of the adventure. What happened is because of it's a winding, you're on top of a mountain ridge, it's winding, the growth is high. And although you may have people in front, people behind, if a person may not always hear, so there were 6 people behind him. If, you know, sometimes you're trying to cross an area and if you don't probably take it properly and you fall, the others who coming behind did not see you. And that's why, you know, we all so saddened by the whole thing. But what really happened.
Let's zero in now on that point where just before you last saw him. Because I would gather, because I remember you said when you got to base about 5:45, which means visibility would have been actually, not pretty good around this time.
Well, apart from not visibility, you're talking about rain fell, a very slippery trail. The soles of his shoe were coming out, right? And you're in a mental state. If you understand, I don't know if you ever experienced fatigue in a mental state. So everybody in the group in a mental state of fatigue, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, we're pushing on, right? It's just that we are there to assist, and when he fell, nobody was able to see, or the 6 people coming behind did not notice anything. And he's a kind of fella that
So where he fell, it would have, based on what we've been hearing and based on what you're saying, at that point where he fell, it would have been possibly around a bend or somewhere where they would have lost sight of him.
Where a tree fell, where a tree fell, and you had to go down a little incline first.
Okay, all right.
And it was slippery going down the incline. And I mean, there were things to hold on to, you know. But I could only imagine, you know, if you know, it's slippery and everybody doing it. I mean, he has enough experience to do it. You know,
and it's a familiar trail.
It's not a familiar.
It's not a familiar trail. Okay, all right.
No, it's not a. It's a recently cut trail.
Oh,
something new.
Okay, understood.
This is a new experience. It's a beautiful waterfall, but it's not something that you cut a trail through the forest.
Oh.
So I mean, you know, I think the questions people would ask is how come nobody didn't see him?
Yeah, that's the question many ask.
Right.
And given that it's a fresh trail, there's some would have asked then, okay, at what point did the group miss him in terms of going back? I think he mentioned that you all missed him when you all got back to base and did a head count.
Well, the last 45 minutes, I spoke to him last. My last words to him was, "Are you okay?" And his words was, "Yeah." Right.
And he went up in front.
I said, "I'm going in front now."
Right.
Right. His words was, "Yeah," but you know, guys will say that anyway. Right?
Well, true.
If you understand, because you know, when you're an adventurer, you had the mind power. You know what I mean? You're not a complainer, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, he said yeah, and we're moving on, and it was like 45 minutes to the end. So when the other 6 people came out, and he was not among the other 6. You know. So he was number out of 9. He was let's say 3rd, and we had 6 other people.
Which means at some point in time, there would have been a wide gap between him being 3rd and let's say number 4. The gap would have widened somewhat. In terms of, remember, he was number 3. You said.
He was number 3
right.
on the trail.
So let's say number 4, there would have been a gap, obviously, at some point.
It don't have to be a gap. It could be a few meters. You just wouldn't see because you're going around a lot of bends. You're climbing down little areas. You have to do a lot of climbing down. You're climbing up, right? Sometimes you just wouldn't see it. You know, you have to be there to understand
the psychological aspect of it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
The point is, you know, you may not always see. I mean, you have 6 different eyes and 6 eyesing. And if a person then ball, loud,
you wouldn't think something is wrong.
You wouldn't think. So when you come back in and you ask the 6 people where him.
That's at 5:45. That's at 5:45 p.m. Correct?
Where him? No, nobody could answer. You know, right away. Well, fellas, we had to go back in the forest, you know. And we went back until 12. I mean, there were snakes in the forest. There was a big 6-foot mapapi, right? But we had to do it. And we know that is part of the job, if you understand. And at 5:30 the next morning, we had a fresh crew out there. We know that you're going through challenges and anything can happen. With the forest, you're stepping into the unknown and anything can happen. And you know you have to be prepared to give assistance. You know, despite our tiredness of working 10 hours for the day now, not eating, we had to go back there. You had to go back. There's no not going back. You know, you have to go back. And then on top of that, you had to go to the police after, make a report, answer all the 100 calls, and still keep going. And I mean, we're still going from Saturday to now. Because we still, right now, the latest update, they're cutting down a big tree to get the body out. Right? Because they can't uplift the body just so. And the guys up there, they have to assist the crew,
police officers and so forth,
forest, and the police, because the police officers, they have to go. The police officers are not hikers too, so they're walking through treacherous type of terrain too, if you understand. They're not hikers. I mean, even the army, you might think they're not hikers either. You know what I mean? Mr. Beard was a hiker, right? That was his sport. And in all sports, you have different levels of hiking too. You have advanced and you have regular. This was advanced hiking. I mean, the hike was advertised as
advanced.
Well, I send you the information.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
Of what it was, and you could see And it was meant to deter people who just want to see they come in.
Because see, you had put here the hike rated 9 unclassified, very challenging only for experienced hikers accustomed to walking long trails.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, people run marathons and you don't know if you could make the marathon, but you're trying, right? So when you're born in the process, I mean, I hiking my whole life and still suffer going up that hill.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Russell. I really want to compliment the group for, even though, you know, with minimal light going into the forest once again until 12 o'clock, compliment the group, of course, for, you know, returning for your lost soldier on the battlefield. Unfortunately, of course, he did not make it. What have you all learned, however, from this experience? Because I also read where there was a similar experience in another campus some time ago, but he came through.
First of all,
what have you all learned in terms of precautions moving forward?
We're quite aware, one, that anything can happen.
Well, true.
I mean, you can be as prepared as you want. I have learned a few things I mean, I would not say that I have learned a few things. There's always room for improvement.
Of course, of course.
And I intend to review with my hike leaders. I have about 15 of them. And let them know what better areas that things could be done, if you understand. And recognize the areas that we could improve so that we could avoid these incidents from happening. People will always come, you see, there's always the unguarded moment, the moment where you don't know if this will happen here, but you could try to minimize it. I mean, it's over 20 years. A lot of the people hiking long time, so they know what to expect from people. Experience pays a lot, you know. You know to walk with certain things. You know what you need to walk. You know what you need to spray. You know when you look at a person, you know if they will make the hike or not.
Right.
You have that experience. I could look at you and I could tell you you can't go, right? Based on the fact by the way you look, you know. So there's a lot that we can always learn. I would not say no. Actually, not only the purpose is not only for us to learn. We have a hiking association, and we need to let the other young clubs that coming up know what improvements need to be done, because you know a lot of people into hiking in Trinidad now. Right?
And I just a quick observation, and that's a piece of advice. I mean, I was looking on social media in particular, which of course you know is the go-to site now for everything. And I did type up Hiking Association of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as various other groups. And even though there is information, it is very cosmetic. And that's my opinion. It's very cosmetic.
Association, I mean?
Yeah, in terms of social media.
Something new that has now formed.
Okay, fair enough.
We still, I mean, I am part of the association. We are still trying to get the younger clubs on board.
Right.
We're still trying to get people trained. What I mean, clubs that joining, we're going to go to the ministry to see if they can get them trained in different fields, swimming, for instance, rescuing, and because we don't, although this incident has happened, the focus on every hike is to ensure the safety of everybody. And everybody is told that, you know, we pray at the start of a hike so that everybody could return to their loved ones safe, and the focus is always safety. And people don't hike in the forest if you don't show them attention to begin with. They want, I mean, not the fitness walkers group so much, but you see like the little casual hiker.
Right. Just for the experience.
They love to know that you could be there and baby them. Right? Otherwise, they're not hiking. You have to get them full attention.
That must be considered.
So we are quite aware of what is expected of us. You have to give people attention. The more attention you give them, the more they love you. No, seriously.
Oh, I know. That's human nature. Whether in the forest, whether in the concrete jungle or the actual jungle.
When in the forest, when we have larger groups, because the other club will have the island hikers aspect of it will have a bigger group.
Right.
And you have to give them attention. You have to make sure they're safe in everything you do. And you have to be able to see the danger before they can see it.
Understood.
If you understand, yeah, and that's where experience comes in, being able to see something. You know, but my condolences really go out to his loved ones.
Yeah, likewise, because I'm sure there's nothing that they would have expected. I really want to thank you very much, Mr. Russell, for your time and for shedding some light on this situation and dispel the misconceptions. Yeah.
I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
Sure, no problem. Thanks again, and dispel the misconceptions and keep us updated, please, on the search.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Russell. God bless you. Mr. Russell, one of the organizer of this hike at Hollis Waterfalls, and he has been very busy all morning responding to the media, and I'm really grateful that we were able to speak with him. So as of, again, I'm speaking in the context of the time of the show, as of 12:40, 12:30, they're still trying to retrieve the body. They're now cutting down a tree, a very large tree, that is blocking access for the helicopter to land safely. So let's keep the family of Mr. Baird of course, in our prayer, as well as everyone who is involved in this rescue effort. We'll be right back with some more on hiking. This time, Hiking Tips 101. We speak to a member of the 5-Star Hiking Academy. We'll be right back.
The devil's the accuser of the brethren. And he hates marriage because marriage is the image of God. He hates marriage because it's the most sacred institution on earth. God created marriage in Genesis chapter 1. It is the first institution he ever created, and it's the foundation for every other institution on earth. And he's a strategist. He understands if he can destroy marriage, he can destroy all of society.
I found out that if our phones are close enough, and if we have a connection on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, come on, I'm about to preach this technology until somebody comes out of hiding. If I got something on my device and you need it on your device, if I can get close enough to your device with my device, what's on my device can jump on your device. If I get close to the one who created me, close to the one who called me, if I stop running and return to the place of my assignment, I got to drop.
So if you want to live behind walls all your life and live an isolated, lonely, miserable life, go ahead. But I suggest that you tear down all your walls and let God be a wall of protection about you. And he says all of your walls will be called peace.
All right, welcome back. So we continue our discussion on hiking this morning, and on the line, a very good friend of mine, Mr. Justin Spring, attached to the 5-Star Hiking Factory.
5-Star Fitness
Factory. Oh my goodness. Forgive me for my blunder there. I do humbly apologize, sir. Right. Thank you for joining us on the line. I had the experience of hiking with this group once, and I thank God for bringing me out alive. It was a good experience, and I had a very competent team, I must say, of 5-Star. So again, thank you very much, and congrats to the group, to the team. Yeah. So we're discussing a very, very on the heel of a tragedy that took place with Mr. But I just came off the line with Mr. Mario Russell, and he was making the point of some of the psychological challenges that sometimes hikers experience that people may not know. Of course, many people have been questioning island hikers and what they may or may not have done, and he made the point that there's always room for improvement, but they did all they can. So I'm not going to touch too much on that particular incident. However, I want to just basically discuss the do's and don'ts when it comes to hiking, whether you are experienced or whether you are not. So basically, do people truly understand the gravity of what it takes to go on a hike, Mr. Spring, first and foremost?
Not really, you know, because what happens is that most people believe that they have the opinion that, you know, it's just probably a walk in the park or, you know, just an outdoor event, you know.
A little Sunday evening stroll.
You can make it, yeah. So, you know, until they actually get into it, and then all the things that they were supposed to more or less prepare for, they you know, they realize, well, hey, cool, I didn't take this into consideration. I didn't drink before. I didn't rest enough the night before.
Right.
You know, simple things like that.
So what do you advise? Let's say you're taking out a group out to hike for the first time with a mixed group, as want a better term, novice as well as experience. What is the first thing you would advise someone who is going on a hike? First thing.
All right. Now, first we have to ensure your medical condition. Your medical condition is very important. Why is that? Because you could be affected in particular ways according to the hike. If you have asthma or something like that, or you have allergies and so on.
Right.
We will need to know these things, right, in order for us to advise you properly whether this is the event for you or not. You know, or if it is, there's medication and so on that you could take that would ensure your safety along the route and back. Right?
And what's next after that?
Well, this is for them. So your proper clothing.
Yes, please. Yeah, I think that because we heard whereby the sole of the shoes of Mr. Baird started to give way, and it would. And not, I could be wrong, but if it started to give way, it is only it would be assumed. I assume that may have been happening even before the hike began, or could it actually give away on the hike itself? Let's say it's a new shoes.
I believe you will have to know your gear, sir. You know, if you have a shoes there for about 5 years, you know.
Right. You have to okay.
Or you just have a shoe that put on there, you might be thinking, well, you ain't waiting a while, but you know, these things are gyrus and so on. It's only when you actually put it to the test.
Then you realize, okay.
We always advise people that, you know, you should have at least about 2 to 3 good sneakers, you know, so according to activity, at least it will stretch out the lifespan. Right? Yeah, for that. And then there are sneakers and so on, and footwear that will be specific to your event, whether running, whether swimming and all. You know, you're hiking according to the terrain, cement, concrete area, you know, but sometimes you can't get away from a little slippage and so on in terms of like the moss and the build-up on rocks. So, you know, you more or less have to
is there any particular sneakers that are dedicated or designed for hiking only, or just a matter of getting you know, a quote-unquote a good pair of sneakers based on the terrain that you're going on to?
Normally want to go to a sneaker store and so on, and you check out the sporting section. They would have the labels on them that would more or less explain, well, this is for running, this is for hiking, or this is for training and stuff like that.
Right.
But you can just more or less common sense. You could look at the bottom of the shoes, watch the soling, and you would more or less look and see, well, hey, this looking like it have enough grip, so I could take this on the outside, you know. And you could also ask the advice for the sales clerks, you know, like what would be most appropriate.
Yeah, I think it's best to still seek advice, because some people, again, they might common sense ain't so common in some cases. So, you know. No, it's just real.
People default to style too.
Yeah, some people look at style. Hey,
it looking colors here, things, so, you know, I'll use this and this, but, you know.
Yeah.
But why wearing a heels on a hike? Right. Making sense.
So we're moving on now to the actual terrain itself. I'm looking at some clips that you all have here that you had online and I'm using just to show while we're speaking. And I'm realizing that, and I'm putting this in there because it is so important. I see where you all are praying before you all go on the hike. You know, what are some of the things that you all do outside of, apart from prayer? What do you all do to get these hikers ready? And again, I want to compliment you all for that aspect of it, of course, where you're praying before you all head out, you know?
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. we want to make sure that the hikers comfortable, right? Are comfortable because you more or less have to work with minds, different mindsets.
True.
People may have particular fears, heights and so on, or according to
fear of water.
Fear of water, fear of insects and things that you might pass on the trail itself. So you more or less have to get people comfortable in terms of approaching all of these things here, right? Like for instance, if we know that there's a hike that we end up into water, like the sea also, a pool area to bathe in from like waterfalls and so on. We ensure that we would provide life jackets and so on. So those who feel it to take a little swim, but they're not all that.
So you all work with these things, life jackets and so forth. Okay.
Yeah. And this was all done before, because before the hikes we make sure and make a recce of the area to ensure if it is safe for hikers on the whole.
Also, you will actually go and you will hike the area. You will actually go through the trail first.
The instructors will hike the area first.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. That's to ensure that it will be safe for whoever the crowd that we're looking to attract, whether it's a family hike or it's a fitness hike. So no children for this one or everybody.
Let me ask a question. I know as we kind of wrap things up here. Now, the weather is very unpredictable in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
But during the rainy season, would you advise to ease off hikes, or you can still go, but just be just be more cautious, more or less? But would you say, rainy season, too much rain, ease up?
We always pay particular attention to the weather and how the weather may change, right? As I say, in Trinidad here, how it is very unpredictable.
That's right.
But we won't shy away from the hikes. But if it is in our judgment, we realize that it may be too dangerous and there are lives at stake. There's no problem in postponing the hike to another day where it is safe.
And of course, staying with the group is also essential as well.
Pardon me?
Staying with the group is also essential for your safety and well-being.
Always. We make sure and have accountability checks before we start, during, when we reach the destination, and just before we leave. And when we reach back, accountability checks again, because remember, we're responsible for each and every person who is under our care at that point in time. So,
understood.
That's most important.
Mr. Spring, thank you very much for joining us. Again, congratulations to 5-Star. I'll be joining you on a hike again soon. Yes, I will prepare myself mentally and spiritually again.
You're safe, you're not doing.
Yeah, I'm not safe. Right. Safe. So thank you very much. God bless you to you, man. Thank you. All right. Mr. Justin Spring there, of course, of 5-Star Fitness Factory. Just giving some tips, and that I like the one about, for the actual team itself, providing as much safety gear as possible, because sometimes you may tell people to bring something and they don't bring it. So it's the responsibility, onus is on the team to ensure that they are that protective covering over who's going on the hike with them. But it's something we can discuss more and more in detail later on. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our silver lining and then kind of wrap things up on the show for today. Very interesting topic indeed. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Without further ado, this is truly, truly silver lining for the books. Let's go right now to our next segment. this statement, man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart, is truly fitting for this clip that you're about to see. Because sometimes you look at someone on the outside and think that is all that they are, when the true essence of the man is on the inside. And the only person that can see that is God himself. And he nurtures us from within, and it's reflected without. And you're going to see a clip here of Mr. John Cena. You may not be a big wrestling fan, but you truly saw a different side to him, when you are humbled by your mortality. And the title of the clip, as I name it, is very fitting, purpose through pain. Let's take a look.
You have some of the best fans in the world. A few of them have written you some thank you notes.
Okay, well, let's check them out. Hey, Cena, thank you for changing my life. 2011, I was left for dead after getting hit by a car. When I woke up in the hospital, the doctor told me I would never wrestle again, let alone walk. One thing I learned from you was to never give up. Thank you for being a positive role model for a generation of kids who watched you growing up. Dear John, you have heard thousands of times, but you deserve to hear it 1,000 more. Thank you. By the time I was 19 years old, I had lost both of my parents. Never give up. Those words repeated in my head because you were my light in a decade of darkness. Dear John Cena, your words never give up has helped me fight for a chance to be a mother through adoption. Many years passed and things seemed impossible, but you helped me believe that my dream can become real. This year, finalized my adoption. My time to become a mother has become a reality. You, John Cena, changed my life.
All right, so I have one more thing to show you, and we have a video of him just telling his story.
Sure.
My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and when she got her results, I asked her, what her results were. And she said they were positive. And I was crying, and I was shocked. John Cena's message helped my family because I got his wristband that he gave to me. And when my mom was having her 6-hour surgery, I gave her the wristband. I told her to never give up. And she's now cancer-free.
It's pretty cool. At a young age, he has such great perspective. It's really cool to see, man.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Stop.
For my family.
Get over here. Coolest surprise ever. You're extremely strong, you know that? That's pretty cool.
This is what you gave him. He made sure that through my cancer journey, I say, Mom, Cena says never give up. And I'm now cancer-free.
That's great. That's great.
Hi, John.
Not handicapped, I'm handicapable because of your message.
Your mind goes to a dark place when you get injured. Never give up. And you know that I learned that from you. Fell into a deep depression, and I'd just given up on life. I got back on my feet. You showed me I can. I owe it all to you.
Wow.
Thank you for changing all of our lives.
That's extra special. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Just remember that you guys do the work. And I mean that. And don't think that you're the only one who's up against it, and don't think you're the only one who doesn't have challenges to face every day. Will you all lead by example? And I mean it when I say it, never give up. This is a championship squad right here. Pleasure to meet you. This is a great moment, like some really, really heartfelt stuff. And it's a reaffirming message of be mindful that your actions affect those close to you. Scared the jeebies out of me.
Our stories touched him.
How often does someone get to tell their hero about what they did for them? This is one of those extremely rare moments, and I really appreciate that.
That was the coolest surprise ever.
I will not cry. I will not cry. Wow. I was just going to close off quickly and say this. Many of us throughout our lives will do anything to be rich, but not many of us understand the power of being wealthy. And wealth is something that comes from within. God promised us wealth beyond measure, and wealth has to do not so much with just money, but that wealth comes in how you impact people's lives. And wealth never ends, because the richness comes from the wealth that you have. So if you understand the concept of wealth in terms of people power and impacting lives, then you will never feel poor, physically or spiritually. And I think that is what John Cena learned about his own mortality and whatever richness he would have gotten in life, because that is what the true wealth is really about. And yeah, so I really want to, thanks for that clip from, of course, Rodney showed that to me, and it's really, really, really inspiring indeed. And it showed, again, another side to the wrestler and to us as well. And it's something that we must always, be very cognizant of in our walk, that we cannot allow the perceptions of those who are looking at us on the outside and be consumed by that and allow that to dictate who we are. It starts from within, and only God can find that wealth within, and it manifests on the outside, and people will see the richness of that wealth. So thank you very much. So this has been another episode of Cloud.Nine. Thank you very much to our guests today joining us on the line. First of all, to Mr. Russell from the Fitness Walkers, Mary Russell, sorry, the Fitness Walkers, and to Mr. Justin Spring from the 5-Star Fitness Factory, both giving perspectives on hiking. The first one, of course, on the specific incident surrounding Mr. Bed, who lost his life. And by the way, they're still trying to retrieve the body. Again, keep his family and all the hikers and everyone who's involved, the police service, the army, in their prayer. And Mr. Justin Spring talking about just a few tips, providing that you are interested in going on a hike, or you're an experienced hiker and just, may have been to get a little rusty and just want, to hear, what are some of the things that you can actually have to do. And I think, one thing people take for granted, whether you're experienced or not, with age as well, there are going to be different things happening with your body, and it's always important to have, I would advise, whether it be the day before, a few days before rather, go and get a checkup. Just because you're hiking for years doesn't mean that you just go and run on a trail and start a hike. Make sure everything is okay with you. Make sure you're well hydrated, well rested, so that, you would be truly fit for the course ahead. So just, again, simple advice you take for granted, but let us not take it for granted. Again, our condolences go out to the family of the missing hiker, Mr. Bed. We're going to close things off now with our Be Inspired song for today. Please take care of yourselves and each other, right? And God bless you. See you tomorrow, God's willing, right here on Cloud.Nine, only show to truly make you smile. God bless you.